Okay, I knew going into this it wasn't going to be that great. The rapid good guying of the changelings was one of the worst ideas Friendship is Magic ever had.
So far.
But honestly, To Change a Changeling could have been a lot worse, but that's not to say that it's good. The story revolves around the last remaining cool changeling, Pharynx, who just can't seem to make it in the new wussier hive.
I get this guy. It's like what would happen if there were a lot more of you, Private.
That hurts, Sergeant. Pal, can we start a feelings forum?
No.
Why not?
We already have derision and dismissal forum.
To Change a Changeling is kind of a frustrating episode. It has a good concept, but the execution's just not there. So my first complaint is the handwave explanation of what happened to the holdout troop of bad guy changelings. Apparently Thorax just assertivized them into seeing his point of view. Somehow. Of course, this is just a symptom of the real problem, namely the changelings going from a group of one-dimensional yet awesome-looking bad guys into a group of one-dimensional and silly-looking good guys. But in terms of giving the changelings depth, the episode actually kind of succeeds, thanks mostly to its strongest asset, Pharynx. I most liked that they came down on the side of there's nothing actually wrong with him. He's just into sharp things and fighting monsters, and there's a place for that in the hive. Also, he turns into a giant bug monster, and that's pretty cool. I also liked how ineffective the changelings are now at solving basic problems like defending their homes.
Consequences.
Now for a brief digression, but it does tie back to the episode. I tend to apply Occam's razor to story analysis. Namely, I'm not going on a big long scavenger hunt for metatextual themes and metaphors. So as much as I would like to say that To Change a Changeling is a cautionary tale about the dangers of conformity, as represented by the changelings, a race who can literally transform themselves to their leader's will, learning to recognize the value in both the warrior, represented by Pharynx, and the peacemaker, represented by Thorax, but that's not really in the text of the story, so I can't. When you get right down to it, the story is fairly basic. An outsider who no one likes proves to be valuable after all.
Doesn't exactly set the world on fire, does it?
The viewpoint characters of the story are what has fast become one of my favorite duos on the show, Starlight Glimmer and the great and powerful Trixie. I refuse to call her Trixie Lulamoon. Their chemistry is fantastic. A lot of it has to do with the dialogue. I love their banter. You can see it in both the comedy and in terms of dealing with problems. I also enjoyed their brief attempt to battle the moloid that was attacking the hive. Speaking of, the action set piece of the episode was okay, not great. It starts off strong with Pharynx actually using his shape-changing powers for something. And I'm just going to assume that he has both a time limit on how long he can assume his powerful monster form, and he's the last warrior, so that's why none of the others turned into anything for the fight.
It would have been a lot cooler if they did, though.
The final victory being achieved by Thorax and Pharynx, getting the mole to hit himself, was a nice character moment for the bros. But even Kurama had trouble passing off getting a dude to punch himself as a tactically brilliant maneuver. Finally, let's talk comedy. This episode is pretty fun. Starlight and Trixie do some fine work, but Pharynx steals the show as a lovable jerk. Oh, and Soup Bug from the Feels Forum was awesome. Now it's time to break down the good and the bad in My Little Pony, To Change a Changeling. On the good side, To Change a Changeling has a good premise. Pharynx is a cool dude, and the tag team of Trixie and Starlight is awesome as always. On the other hand, the main plot isn't very interesting, and the new changelings are a weaker screen presence than the old changelings. So I give My Little Pony, To Change a Changeling a 3 out of 5. Now, if you're interested in more reviews of anime, movies, TV shows, comic books, or video games, check out my channel right here on YouTube, and find my Facebook and Deviantart pages for video updates and more. Thank you for watching.
Hey kids, today's show is brought to you by the letter 4 and the number potato! I'm a stupid private.